YouTube, what's poppin', baby? Welcome back to the channel. I am so pissed right now because I just did this whole video and the record button wasn't on. So now we're here back again, gonna try to do the same conversation that I just had. So before we get into the video, make sure you guys subscribe, smash the subscribe button, and also smash the like button. If you could do me one big favor, please go back and watch a video or two from previously because I need the watch hours. We are so close to being monetized. And the quicker we get monetized, the quicker we could hopefully get this crock pot on wheels. So if you could do that for me, it would be much appreciated. But today we're going to be talking about the big topic. Yes, it's more Deandre Hopkins talk. I've made 2 videos on this already, but I've been live on TikTok the past couple days, and the main question that I have been getting over and over and over again is who would you rather have, DPJ or DeAndre Hopkins? And I think there's a few things that comes into play that you have to consider, and that's money ultimately. And it's tough talking about this because we all know DPJ is a fan favorite here. We've seen it with Jarvis Landry. We've seen it with Rashard Higgins. And it's tough seeing someone that you love as a fan be replaced or be moved on from. Now, you look at the stats from DPJ, he's only gotten better year in and year out. And he's only going to be making $2.7 million max this year. But 2020 comes in, he goes 14 catches for 304 with a 21 yard per catch average. 2021, he goes 34 catches, 597. And then 2022, he goes 61 for 839 and 3 touchdowns. Every year he's shown that he can be serviceable in this league. Now, I think the question comes into play is, would you rather have a guy who still has potential and we don't really quite know where that ceiling is with him yet? Or would you rather bring in a proven guy who you know what you're going to get out of him? He's already had a connection with Watson. And I think it's one of those things where it's tough because when you bring in a guy like DeAndre Hopkins, there already isn't enough footballs to go around to everybody. We already know how unhappy Elijah Moore was last year not getting the ball. Granted, he didn't have any quarterback or a stable quarterback situation to go off of. But when you got a receiving room like what we have and the things that we've already been seeing this offseason, you've got Amari Cooper, you've got Elijah Moore, you've got Marquise Goodwin, you just drafted Cedric Tillman, you still have Anthony Schwartz, which a lot of people think he's already 1 foot out the door because of how deep this receiving core already is, and then DPJ on top of that. And then they just signed another receiver, I believe, yesterday or the day before that. So it's like, are you going to bring in a guy who is going to demand a lot of attention, a lot of pass attempts going his way when the receiving room is already so deep? And oh, by the way, you've got a $20+ million tight end that you also need to get the ball to. And oh, by the way, you've got Nick Chubb who needs to get his 15 touches a game. So it sounds crazier than it is because you're sitting here like you're really debating on would you rather have DPJ or DeAndre Hopkins. But I think it's all based on money. Now, Andrew Berry has orchestrated this team, and we kind of got a feel for how he likes to orchestrate this team. And we all know that this is an analytical-based team. And when you talk about giving a receiver a lot of money, that's not in the cards. But when you have this window of opportunity to go out there and win, and you see now that the Browns are in win now mode because of the moves that they have made, and anybody thinks that we don't have this Super Bowl window are just haters because the AFC is loaded, yes, but you don't go sign these big names, Darius Smith, Thompson, and you don't go trade your whole future for a quarterback in Deshaun Watson if you are not in win now mode and you don't think that your team has the opportunity to go out there and win a Super Bowl. So when you got that window open right now and that opportunity on the doorstep, it would be foolish to sit here and say, yeah, I'll pass on DeAndre Hopkins and I'll run with DPJ and hope that he can continue to thrive and take those steps in being in the receiver that we think he can be. You go get DeAndre Hopkins. But the price has to be right. I'm not signing him to the Odell contract. That's just it doesn't make sense, and it doesn't make sense if you're Andrew Berry, because you would ultimately be going against everything that you've pretty much value in how you create your team. Everything that he does, yes, is analytical based. We've seen that from the top down. Everyone goes by the analytics now in this organization, and that's fine because he's bringing in real playmakers and guys who are football guys, right? Football guys. Shout out to John Dorsey. And it's not just, hey, he's good on the dollar, so let's bring him in. No, these are guys that are going to perform. You got great value in that second round pick to bring in Elijah Moore. You signed all your cornerstone pieces in Myles Garrett, Nick Chubb. You got your quarterback. You got Denzel Ward. You got a good safety now who's won 2 Super Bowls. You've got veteran presence. You've got a good defensive coordinator. So I think it's one of those things where you got to put your fandom to the side, and you got to understand that we can't keep doing this as Browns fans. I know it's hard because you don't really being a fan for 20 plus years and going through the stuff that we've been through. It's hard looking at these players and be like, man, we lost another fan favorite. But at the end of the day, man, this is about winning football games. And I'm not saying DPJ doesn't give you a good chance to win, but what I'm saying is DeAndre Hopkins elevates that to another level, because that's another deep threat, or not necessarily a deep threat because he's not a deep threat guy anymore, but that's another red zone target that you have to worry about when you've already got a lot of red zone weapons as it is. So and then you're talking about a receiver who's going to be fringe number 1A, 1B next to Amari Cooper, whereas DPJ isn't going to necessarily challenge Amari Cooper in being that number 1 presence. So I think it would strike a lot more fear into defenses if you've had Amari Cooper and DeAndre Hopkins. Oh, by the way, you got Elijah Moore in the slot that you got to worry about too. And then you got a 6-foot+ guy in Cedric Tillman when they spread out the offense. So it's one of those things where are you going to be a fan, or are you going to be smart about this? And I think the Browns need to really be smart about this. And if the money is right, there ain't nothing to really talk about. You got to move on from DPJ, and you got to bring in DeAndre Hopkins. Now, there was another scenario out there that people talked about is, would you rather have Amari Cooper or DeAndre Hopkins? Because if you do bring in DeAndre Hopkins, you're more than likely not going to be able to keep both. And who would you rather pay in that sense? Because someone's going to have to get paid. Now, we don't know how the next offseason is going to go as far as what receivers will be on the market or guys that could be potentially traded for. But that will come into play as well, because because Amari Cooper is going to be coming up on another contract, or he's going to be looking to get paid again. And I just talked about how this team is based off of analytics, and analytically you're not dishing out millions and millions of dollars to receivers. It's just not something that you're going to do, especially when you have a quarterback who can elevate everyone's game around. So at the end of the day, I'm not going to get into the whole Amari Cooper, DeAndre Hopkins thing, because first we even got to see if we get DeAndre Hopkins. And once that happens, that's when we can talk about that situation. But I'm anxious to know your guys' thoughts on who would you rather have, DPJ or DeAndre Hopkins, because that has been the main question that I have been getting asked over and over and over again. And I'll end it by saying this. I love DPJ. I think he has a very high ceiling. I think there's still a lot of room for him to grow. And he's obviously making not a lot of money this year, so he fits in well. He's not going to demand a lot of targets. But if the Browns can get DeAndre Hopkins for anything less than $12 million, $11 million, even if it's just for 1 year, sign me up all day, every day, because you don't get better by getting rid of talent. You don't get better by passing up on talent. I said that last year when everybody talked about wanting to trade Nick Chubb to get some assets and trade I forgot who was the player that they wanted gone. There was someone they wanted. Nick Chubb was a player that was in trade talks at the this offseason, but I feel like there was someone last year where people wanted to get rid of talent because they felt like, oh, it was the Odell Beckham. That was way before. Yeah, so people were like, yeah, just get rid of Odell Beckham. Like, you don't get better by getting rid of talent. That has never been the case. I don't care what people say. You figure out how to get it done. You don't got to like the person you play with. Y'all got to go out there and win football games. This is what this is about. So, DeAndre Hopkins on the market. Go get it done if the price is right. And we'll see you guys on Sunday, baby. Let me know in the comments what you guys think. And I look forward to catching you guys on the next video. Peace!